Hi, everyone. This is Joseph from BCIT Indigenous Initiatives and Partnerships. It's great to be here and great to see everyone and those that I can see. I'd like to welcome you to Big Info and the Big Indigenous BCIT Indigenous Services area, as well as the Indigenous Initiatives and Partnerships area. I'm an advisor with the Indigenous Services Department. I'm of DAC Health, our carrier, and Irish descent. And we always like to start by recognizing that this is a safe space to participate in and really to respect others in this environment. We have a lot of students of Indigenous and non-Indigenous descent that look for a safe space to navigate and come to here at BCIT, especially now in this time of COVID. We have a very challenging environment today where we want to make sure that we're respecting students' population and awareness of the safety of all students. So please feel comfortable asking questions and stating your ancestry or not. It's up to you. As we are on the Coast Salish territory, we want to recognize the Coast Salish people. So that's the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. And those are the nations that are on the BCIT main campuses reside upon. And myself, as a Carrier First Nation member, I would say I'm a guest on the territory. And that's something to teach others, is the fact that not all Indigenous people are from this territory here. There are many different territories within BC and Canada and the world. And BCIT is really a gathering place for a lot of the different nations. We see a lot from BC, we see a lot from across Canada. And it's great to take part in the acknowledgement of the territory and recognize the Coast Salish people whom we respect. This hand symbolizes Neweliao, and I have pronounced that not being a Squamish Nation person, so I'm doing my best, but Neweliao is the passing of teachings or the knowledge from one person to the next. So we really look to students to share that knowledge, and we have elders in place which also share that knowledge and allow others to share in an open space. I wanted to take a second as well to introduce the other presenters today. We have Khadija Glover, a current student, and John Diamond. Do you want to unmute yourself for a sec, you guys, and just say hello?
Hi there.
Hi there, I'm John.
And we're all really happy to see you. So how today's flow will go is I'll speak for a little bit on the Indigenous Initiatives and Partnerships program or services and the initiatives that we're putting forward. Khadija will speak on her Indigenous student experience at BCIT, and John will be speaking on an Indigenous program at the Marine campus that's taking place in partnership with Camosun and the Transport Canada. So we show our symbols as behind me. The eagle is stated. The hand is in front of you now. We also look towards the copper, which is really a symbol of respect for the territory. This was driven by our executive director, Corey Wilson. And when you see this, it really symbolizes the BCIT's commitment to the truth reconciliation calls to action in ways that BCIT is navigating and supporting Indigenous students, community, and us as human beings, whether that's Indigenous or non-Indigenous relations, looking at ways that we can connect. So looking at the copper, it's a Northwest Coast First Nations. The copper is a traditional copper shield. It symbolizes wealth and power. Knowledge is power. This copper gains value the more it changes hands and is broken and can be put back together. Life can be challenging, but much like a copper, our students build strength as they gain knowledge and overcome challenges. That is why we choose the copper to symbolize our Indigenous vision, our Indigenous strategic plan. So you'll see these images around campus and now in this virtual world that we're in, and those will symbolize that there's support for Indigenous students on campus, there's support in the classroom, there's learning modules that you can look at and really take part in. We really create an open environment as best we can. So looking at the team itself, I've introduced myself. I'll see if I can go into my the website itself. So looking at who we are, Khadija, that's good to see. The website page. Awesome. Okay, just double checking. So who we are and where we're located. We're on the SW1 campus in Burnaby in the room 1521, which we call the Indigenous Gathering Place. We currently are all off campus right now due to COVID, but our team is available at any time through email or phone. Our main email is this gathering_place@bcit.ca, and we generally connect through there. We'll have that up at the end of the show, at the end of the slide as well. And we're based mainly on the Burnaby campus, even though we do technically cover all of the 5 campuses. So our executive director is Corey Wilson. She's from Kwakwaka'wakw, which is on the northern side of Vancouver Island, actually just off the shore there on Quadra Island. And she is the executive director of Indigenous Initiatives and Partnerships. Tammy Pierce, she's our associate director, and she's Shimshan descent and Japanese descent. And she's our associate director of Indigenous Initiatives and Partnerships. Myself, a nice shot there. And Leah Falstead is our another advisor, and she is Métis descent and is actually a BCIT alumni. So reach out if you have any questions about programs at BCIT or other questions you might have about how the classrooms are at the Institute. And looking into how we support our Indigenous community at BCIT, it's really looking at how we're getting started and how you might look at the Institute for funding or other pieces of information that you might want to ask about. So again, I'll refer to our website. And I'll go into the student area and getting started with BCIT. And looking at funding and ways that you can connect with our department is all laid out on this page. So you look at tips and applying and taking programs, funding. So Indigenous students have an opportunity to get funding through different sources. Not all Indigenous students are funded. Not all Indigenous students have the same status. So Indigenous, as it's stated and we support, is Métis, Inuit, First Nation status, and non-status. So we look at those different groups of Indigenous populations and ask questions about what is the best fit for funding that might be available. So BCIT has internal funding available, as well as our department helps with external funding. So looking at First Nations band funding, looking at Métis Nation BC funding, looking at non-status First Nations that are looking for opportunities in funding, and looking at the funding that might cover different areas of programs. So we're looking at technology, apprenticeship, and the trades foundation programs. And then of course you're looking at the full and part-time as well. So there's different processes for each, which we can help you through, as well as the amazing advising team that's on. So looking at different pieces of the funding models is looking at the sponsorship that's required, looking at acceptance letters from BCIT, and looking at really connecting with your First Nations education coordinator or the sponsorship agency's funding coordinator. Looking at other forms of support, we offer the peer-to-peer mentorship program, which is a student-driven initiative, and looking at ways that we can connect students on campus to support each other. We also have elders on campus. During the time of COVID, they're not available, but we do generally have the elders in place, and you'll see some of their information here. From the Coast Salish Nation of Musqueam Indian Band, that's Mary, and then you have Alf Demont, who's Anishinaabe or Ojibwe. So looking at that way of getting started is really connecting in with our department and asking questions about different forms of funding that might be available, or getting to know us as advisors and staff, or simply dropping in this time for a virtual coffee. So we're holding virtual circles and we're holding virtual events such as Indigenous Book Club, the Indigenous gathering places, initiatives that we're putting forward. And we're holding things like speaker series and other ways to connect in. Khadija will talk in a minute here, but we're also looking at ways that we're expanding our areas. So like the Student Association and the partnerships we have there, hold things like the Indigenous Culture Club. So we have a current student that's looking at running events through the Indigenous Culture Club, as well as council seats, which represent Indigenous students in different areas. Of course, during this time, we really want to acknowledge the wellness of our students and the different resources that are available on and off campus. So looking at the First Nations Health Authority and the cultural supports that are available there, as well as the BCIT Counseling and Student Development. They have a great resource on their website, which is called Mental Health at Home. And that really runs through a lot of the information that is important at this time. I know that this is a challenging time, and we've heard it from a lot of our students, both prospective out there, such as yourselves, ready to come into this amazing school, our amazing environment, our amazing school, but also those that are current, and family and friends from different communities. We're here to support and acknowledge and help as best we can in this time of COVID. Looking at different external resources, I mentioned a few of the things that we've held on campus, such as the book club and speaker events, but there's also other opportunities such as external resources and webinars. The Teachings in the Air podcast is a really great one with an elder, Jerry Oldman, who shares his teachings and knowledge, as well as the Learning Circle that's held through the UBC's webinar series. So we always look at ways of really wrapping and supporting our student population. Before I pass it over to Khadija, who has the real goods, because she's a current student, part-time, and then working full-time as well. I'll read off a quote here that I really find motivating during this time. This is from the late Richard Wagamasi. And this states a lot of the pieces that I hear a lot, and that energy that we hear, but also that moving forward in this time of COVID. So life sometimes is hard. There are challenges, there are difficulties, there is pain. As a younger person, I sought to avoid them and only ever cause myself more of the same. These days, I choose to face life head on, and I have become a comet. I arc across the sky of my life, and the harder times are the friction that lets the worn and tired bits drop away. It's a good way to travel. Eventually, I will wear away all resistance until all there is left of me is light. I can live towards that end. So I look at these motivating pieces that we have, and I've covered a couple pieces from our department. If you have any questions, there's a Q&A that we're going to be asking after, and I think I see some in there in the Q&A chat. But I want to pass it over to Khadija and let her share her story for a little bit here.
Thank you, Zah. And I never get tired of hearing that passage, so thank you. It's it really enlightens my day, so thank you. So my name is Khadija Glover. I am a new mentor for the Indigenous Initiatives and Partnership team. And I'm a part-time student, as Zah mentioned, and I am working towards completing an associate certificate in public relations. I did complete an event marketing certificate last year, so I'm a few credits away from completing the public relations. So this is my second year, and really enjoy everything about BCIT. Of course, COVID really put a wrench in things, and we were kind of forced to go completely online, which I had been avoiding, if I'm to be honest. I purposely, even though I have a full-time job, I purposely would sign up for the in-class courses just to force myself to be 100% present in the moment. But I've had to adapt, as I'm sure many of you will, or if you haven't already. And it can be challenging. As you can probably hear in the background, I have 4 children and a partner, and I work full-time, and I go to school part-time. I also recently hold a essay council seat for the School of Business. And it can be really challenging to juggle everything and wear all the hats. But certainly doable. And I think it's so special and important to have people that can help you, mentor you, take you under their wing and kind of show you the ropes, and just have that authentic conversation with you, someone you can just open up to and feel safe and free to ask all the questions that you have without judgment. So this is certainly a great group for that, and I really encourage you to drop into some of our virtual circles. I know they've really helped me during this time of COVID in particular. And as I've mentioned to our group, if it wasn't for COVID, I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to get involved. So it's really nice to be able to take advantage of that now and attend virtually for now. But I do hear good things about the services that we have available in person once COVID is over. So hopefully we can take advantage of those. I do believe there's a sweat lodge, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So I have yet to take advantage of that, but hoping to as soon as things go back to new normal. But really want to encourage you to reach out to myself or any of the other mentors, anyone in the Indigenous Initiatives and Partnerships team, and just feel free to ask your questions, whether you're Indigenous, non-Indigenous. Myself, I identify as Cree, so on my mother's side, Cree coming from Sucker Creek First Nations. But again, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, we welcome all, and yeah, we're looking forward to chatting with you in the future. So back to you, Za.
Thank you so much, Khadija. Yeah, and you mentioned all these different services. It's really nice that you're taking part in all of our different areas. The Sweat Lodge, yeah, it's definitely one that we're missing at this time. A lot of our students would access the Indigenous Sweat Lodge on the BCIT campus. And it's a place that you can go and have a ceremony which involves the cleansing ceremony, which uses willow branches and grandfathers, which are the rocks that are heated up within the lodge itself. So yeah, we hope to have that up in the new year or whenever the safety permits it. But we'll see, and we'll keep everyone in the loop via our website. So I'm going to try and advance the slides. Sorry, I've got too many things open here. But John, are you ready to go? I got your slides up here, and I'll advance them for you.
That would be great. So this is the Marine Training Program. I don't know how many of you have ever considered working at sea as a mariner, or working for BC Ferries or one of the tug companies, Seaspan or others. But this is an interesting program. Sure, could we advance the slide, please, Za? And thank you, Za, for letting me speak about this program today. And I'm, they talked about their nationalities. My family's been in Canada for many years, but my family was English and Irish originally, so I'm not an Indigenous person, and I'm thankful to be a visitor in Canada and in this land of the Coast Salish people. So in this slide, you'll see that the Oceans Protection Plan really is funding this program for what they call underrepresented groups, which would include the Inuit and Métis, as well as the First Nations, whether their status or not, and they also include women in this group. and essentially they reimburse the funds that BCIT spends training people to become commercial mariners. There are a couple of things I like about this program, one of which is it's relatively short. There's some flexibility in the program, but it typically would be a 16 or 17-week program, and often we would help people get sea time afterwards. Next slide, please. So in the next slide, this is kind of what the Oceans Protection Plan, which is a part of Transport Canada, and what they were hoping to achieve with this program. So they wanted BCIT and our partner Camosun to be more involved in coastal communities and be more involved in Indigenous communities, as well as so many people, if they didn't grow up right on the coast, they're not aware of what a great job it is to work at sea. You know, there are people who live on the island and they get up in the morning and they go to work on BC ferries and they go home for dinner at night. So they work at sea, but they're home in time to go to bed, and they have high-paying salaries and good vacations. And there are other people who will spend 2 weeks on a tug and then 2 weeks off. And there are lots and lots of different models for people who are social and people who aren't social. So if you like the water, it's kind of a good program. And part of our role, and if you can help me with this, we want to develop training that recognizes, you know, we have training that recognizes Transport Canada certification. That part's, you know, BCIT is very good at. We're less good right now at the traditional knowledge of the coastal people and the coastal transportation that happened before. So maybe if you become a student here, you can help with that. And they have provided us with some technology that's pretty cool that you'll get to use if you take this program. And next slide, please. So there's a group that came down from Kitimat, and you know, in each cohort, it's usually a group of 12 students. That one was a little bit smaller, but there'll be the courses that you take that you have to get a job as a seafarer. That would be the bridge watch rating, and it's about 12 weeks. And then there's what they call the med courses, the marine emergency duties, and so that would include firefighting and first aid and some other stuff. But also we allow a little bit of elective courses. So that group chose to take vessel personnel with designated security duties. I guess security is, they believe, will be a big issue up in Kitimat where the LNG project is. But we just had a group, they aren't finished yet, that came through Access, the local ISET holder, and they're choosing food safe as their elective course because the main reason is because they're typically graduates get jobs on the tugs, and often the deckhands on the tugs do the cooking, and it's good to have some knowledge about that. So there's some of the choices. And could we see the next slide, please? So, you know, I think it's important to talk a little bit about COVID. First, in this program, of the 16 weeks, the first 8 or 9 are online. Online, there's still an instructor that does delivery, and there's still teamwork. You know, you can chat with other students. It's a fairly comprehensive online learning system. But a lot of the things you need to work at sea, you have to, you know, it's a hands-on activity to learn. And for the stuff that's hands-on, we do it at this campus for the most part. And but we're very, very safety conscious. So there are protective barriers between people, and we do have safe distancing, and there is sanitizing and flow direction and issuing of your own equipment to use rather than, you know, everybody scrambling to get some. A good sanitizing regimen, PPE when it's appropriate. So for the part where you are on campus, we've reduced the class sizes from 16 in some cases down to 4. So we're very conscious about that. And next slide, please. So we very much we do collaborate with industry, and we have been working with communities. I mentioned the local one and one in Kitimat, and I have been talking with people in Haida Gwaii, and our partners at Camosun have been talking to folks up and down the island and on the Central Coast, and ways that your community, your home community, can help us. There certainly are some with marine heritage and telling us about that, promoting the program and encouraging people to take it. If you have commercial vessels, fish vessels, or fishing vessels, or tugs, or with taxis, maybe providing ride-alongs or tours or guest speakers in this online era. And we're always looking to help overcome the barriers. There's a reason that groups are underrepresented, and we would like to find those barriers to full participation and help look for ways to overcome them. And in this program, at least funding is largely overcome. So there's no tuition. We provide money for lunches when you're at home, and some kind of lunch arrangement when you're here. We would provide hotels, certainly books and supplies are free. We won't pay for your car payments, and we don't pay for child care, so it didn't extend to the next level. But the actual costs associated with being here are pretty thoroughly covered. And the next slide, please. And I think that's the main stuff I wanted to say, but I'll be around for questions and answers, as will Zah and Khadija. Khadija, I loved listening to you speak. I hadn't heard you before, and that was great. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, John. And I have to say, you have a very cool slide. Is that a friend out in the ocean there?
Do you know that there were 3 whales that were just going by me one day, and this one came over right close to our boat to say hello. It was close enough. My wife was kind of screaming in terror, but one of my daughters was pulled out her iPhone and just filmed that with her iPhone. And that orca was just a few feet from us and really was just there to say hi to us. Right? It was a lovely moment.
Just a question about the bridge watch. You can continue on into other areas such as the marine engineering and other things. Is that correct?
Well, that's right. These courses are basically the same courses as happen in the first year of the marine engineering and the nautical sciences program. So this can help ladder into that, or if you go and get a job working on a vessel as a deckhand, which is what this is designed to do. It's short and sweet for a good paying job. You can come back and get a master's ticket eventually. You have to take a lot of courses, but education, I always think, is a lifelong prospect. I certainly am still learning new technologies, and so there are opportunities to go much further. That's right. Thanks,
John. So I do see a couple of questions. Michael, thanks for dropping by. This is Sarlip. So that's actually an island, Vancouver Island location or nation, I believe. And Kathleen, definitely reach out if you have questions about how we can help with study skills or other things. Another great resource, which you'll see, I think over the next couple of days, is the Learning Commons, which offers peer tutoring on a one-on-one or a group basis. So you can really reach out to them as well. But feel free to reach out to us at our email, which I have up at the very end here, and being able to connect in with us at any time. I don't know, Khadija, do you have anything else to share? I don't see any other, here we go. Do you have anything you want to say to end off the night?
Just wanted to reiterate, we're all in this together. This is, these are unprecedented times, but just know you're not alone. And again, I really encourage you to reach out to myself or anyone else on the team for that support.
And thank you so much to both of you for coming and sharing your knowledge tonight. And as I mentioned, our team, Corey Wilson, Tammy Pierce, Leah Falstead, and Celeste Dunstan, our administrative assistant, who isn't on our website, but she's always available through our gathering_place at bcit.ca. We're all here to support and help, as well as connect with other Indigenous students and Indigenous peoples around campus, and support Indigenous programs such as the Marine Campus and John Diamond's Bridge Watch rating area under the School of Transportation. It looks like we're coming close to time. And I just wanted to thank everyone, and welcome to BCIT once you get here, and we're here to help as you navigate your way towards getting into the classrooms.